The recent discovery of a liquid water lake under the surface of Mars has created a fury of excitement amongst the scientific community. Liquid water, aka the stuff that covers over 2/3 of the entire planet, is a necessary building block for essentially every living creature you've ever heard or seen. So, what if this means that life, amazing, independent, biological life, is present underneath the surface of Mars? What would life on the red planet be like? Would we even recognize it? Because of the supremely cold temperatures, the only way water could stay liquid on the planet, or inside the planet rather, is by being extremely salty. Much like the way we throw salt on roads during the winter, a very, very salt-dense water would be able to maintain liquidity in the extreme cold. This would cause a problem for life as we know it, because our bodies do this thing called osmoregulation. Long story short, that means that extremely salty water will cause the water inside our cells to rush out, thus creating the seemingly paradoxical possibility of becoming dehydrated while still being submerged in water. But still, there are organisms on Earth that are capable of living in quite salty environments. The black yeast, Ortea wernickeyi, is important because of its fascinatingly high halotolerance. Halotolerance being an organism's ability to tolerate high salinity environments. Because of the compounds produced in the fungus, notably melanin, which gives it its dark hue, it is able to aid in the retention of important molecules that would otherwise be lost during the process of osmosis. It also has the ability to control its lipid production by increasing the amount of fatty acids present inside it. While most creatures that never see the light are often translucent, given what we know about the black yeast and its use of melanin to maintain stronger cell wall barriers, it is entirely possible that the heavy salt content of the water would allow, even accelerate, the oxidation of tyrosine, a precursor to melanin. Black ooze is a common trope in science fiction, meant to signify the hopeless abyss and the inevitable entropy that takes over the entire universe. But is it possible that something like this will actually lead to the start of a new civilization? Convergent evolution has also led to the interesting existence of bacteria becoming extreme halophiles by injecting potassium ions into their cytoplasm. Whatever it is, assuming it is built under the same molecular scaffolding as life on Earth, it would need to have the ability to control how its body keeps from being completely dried up from the salt water around it. But what if the life beneath the surface of Mars is much more complex than fungus or bacteria? What if, through years of evolution, an entire ecosystem has been created in this undersurface lake, despite its frigid temperatures and extreme salinity? Would the characteristics we've seen in halophiles on Earth be extended to animals higher up on the evolutionary food chain? Enter the brine shrimp. Also known as the sea monkey or sea dragon, these little creatures are notoriously resilient, surviving in a wide range of salty lakes, including the Great Salt Lake in Utah, United States. Furthermore, they were brought up on Apollo 16 and Apollo 17 to test the impact of cosmic radiation on their young. 10% survived the trip and exposure. 9 out of 10 dying might not seem like good odds, but if you're producing thousands of eggs, the numbers add up quickly. But what makes brine shrimp noteworthy on Earth is that this ability to exist in extremely salty water is a result from evading predators. This is a great trick if life on your planet hasn't yet adapted to live in very salty water, but what if it has? What if living in very salty water is the only way to exist? Even if Mars once, millions of years ago, had a vast and healthy ecosystem with an atmosphere and surface water, They don't have that now, and they haven't had it for a long, long time. Let's imagine a rogue colony of Martian sea monkeys getting trapped beneath the planet's surface and beginning to independently evolve. Brine shrimp have evolved very little since the Triassic period, but that is because they have successfully filled a niche. How might the conditions on Mars demand further specialization? Competition for food might, for one thing, especially in an enclosed environment where new food sources come in small amounts or in irregular intervals. Much like Darwinistic gigantism creating the Lord Howe Island stick insect, giant insects, affectionately called tree lobsters due to a lack of predators and finite resources around them, a similar race to be the biggest could occur under the planet's cold external shell. What if Mars' molten core heat creates geothermic energy that is then converted into a food source by some sort of halophilic algae that, in turn, is then eaten by the Martian shrimp? Naturally, there would be a rise in size as the spawn of each generation competed for more of that delicious Martian salt weed. What would come of their waste products? This might lead to cannibalism and extreme aggression, as shown in studies of the previously mentioned giant-ass stick bug. Physically, we can almost be sure they will be completely blind. No point in having eyes if there's nothing to see. To navigate, they will need to rely on scent or sound, or most likely, both. Similar to bats in a dark cave, these creatures may use echolocation to see who or what is around them. Because of the most likely small amount of food being produced, these alien beings might become large and slow-moving, able to stay warm, maintain a food supply, and ward off potential attackers. Giant halophilic lake whales? Probably not. But hordes of blind, underwater sea cockroaches fluttering beneath the surface may be all the more likely. What if these aliens took their evolution further? What if they began to communicate? Salt water is a good conductor of electricity, and there exists plenty of examples of animals emitting waste products to reach equilibrium with their environment. Could a similar being use low-power electrical impulses to not only desalinate the water around them, but also to mark their territory? Attract a mate? Could this sort of behavior be the beginning of a telepathic society where thoughts are transmitted electrically? How about you? What do you think? That the undersurface lake on Mars is a dead, uninhabited salty mush, or that there are rows of marauding bands of giant cannibalistic sea monkeys, devouring whatever they can with their overgrown pinchers and emotionless heads devoid of any facial features we would ever associate with any sort of life? Let me know what you think life in an underwater lake on Mars would be like in the comments below, and thanks for watching.